The 1982 United States Surgeon General's report stated that cigarette smoking is the major single cause of cancer mortality in the United States. This statement is as true today as it was then. Tobacco use is responsible for nearly 1 in 5 deaths in the United States. Because cigarette smoking and tobacco use are acquired behaviors, activities that people choose to do, smoking is the most preventable cause of death in our society. Cigarette smoking is detrimental to the health of human beings, so people should not be allowed to smoke cigarettes in public places because secondhand smoke affects people's health in a negative way. Smoking is the most common method of consuming tobacco, and tobacco is the most common substance smoked. The agricultural product is often mixed with additives and then combusted. The resulting smoke is then inhaled, and the active substance is absorbed through the alveoli in the lungs. German scientists identified a link between smoking and lung cancer in the late 1920s, leading to the first anti-smoking campaign in modern history, although it was shortened by the collapse of the Third Reich at the end of the Second World War. In 1950, British researchers demonstrated a clear relationship between smoking and cancer. Evidence continued to mount in the 1980s, which prompted political action against the practice. Rates of consumption since 1965 in the developed world have either peaked or declined. However, they continue to climb in the developing world. Smoking is not a healthy habit to acquire because it is harmful to the body. It is a leading cause of death in the United States and throughout the world, and the second-hand smoke is affecting too many people throughout not only the U.S. but the world as a whole. Public smoking should, at least in the United States, be made illegal. Without people publicly smoking tobacco, there will be a lot less second-hand smoke, and therefore there will be a lot more healthier people. People who smoke are more likely to develop diseases such as lung cancer and liver cirrhosis. Cirrhosis is commonly caused by smoking and reduces and even poisons the liver, causing it to be unable to perform its function. For example, a healthy lung is pinkish in color and helps the person breathe in oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. But a smoker's lung is not that color. A smoker's lung is very dark in color and is covered with tartar. A smoker's lung is unable to functionally help the person breathe and increases severe asthma, which causes stroke and heart attack. Smoking affects the overall population of the earth in many ways. It affects smokers' health and controls their smoking habits and use of time, and the spiraling cost of tobacco makes it an expensive pastime. It has been proven that tobacco consists of carcinogenic compounds, which cause serious harm to a person's health, not only the smoker. Anyone around them can develop cancers of the lungs, mouth, throat, and other sites of the body. It is simply not fair to impose this upon another person. It is also the case that people's health is more important than businesses. Secondhand smoke pollutes the environment as well. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, children are susceptible to the effects of secondhand smoke because they are growing and developing. Children exposed to secondhand smoke have increased risks of sudden infant death syndrome, middle ear infection, and asthma, pneumonia, and bronchitis. Annually, 1 out of every 5 deaths in the U.S. is related to smoking, due to conditions such as pneumonia, bronchitis, lung cancer, and emphysema, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention website. Smoking may affect sexual performance and increase the risks of heart disease and infections. Deaths attributed to smoking varied from state to state during the years of 2000 to 2004, with Alaska reporting 492 deaths and California reporting 36,687 deaths, according to the CDC. The good news is, according to a report from the CDC, some states show signs of improved health of their citizens and a decrease in smoking rates, deaths, and healthcare costs due to increased awareness, education, and resources available to help people fight the smoking habit. Increased awareness, education, and resources are exactly what people need to help fight the smoking habit and eventually make it a non-issue in our society. I believe that throughout America, health classes can be offered every year between middle school and high school for each student, and every health class that is offered should offer a smoking education unit as a unit of study. Government advertisements should fill billboards and television stations as well as any other form of media that can be easily accessed by viewers or listeners. Cigarette ads are already banned from television, but they should be completely banned altogether. All restaurants and bars must at least limit the smoking of tobacco to a certain area or to the outside of the venue. It would be preferable if a federal law completely banned smoking from all public places, which would limit smokers to only smoking in the home, away from other people, so as to not harm them. Some people who are opposed to anti-smoking bills would argue that the meaning of a public place is a very vague thing. They also would argue that the government doesn't have any business regulating private affairs and personal choices in places owned and managed by private parties. People who are concerned about the ideals that this country was founded on would most likely be opposed to my stance on this issue, but there is solid evidence that cigarette smoking causes harm, and I would rather see less people harmed in our society than worry about the ideals by which this country was founded on. If cigarettes and tobacco smoking were banned from the public, the amount of deaths attributed to smoking would drastically drop, and there would be less irritated citizens due to the lack of smoke. People would be more educated if health classes were offered every year from 6th grade to 12th grade, and if cigarette smoking was a required unit of study in each of these classes. If smoking was banned from restaurants and other public places, less people would be exposed to that environment and the dangers of secondhand smoke. Overall, smoking cigarettes is a negative thing for the environment, for the individual smoking, and for people around the individual. Banning public cigarette smoking in the United States would yield both positive health and environmental results. For the next federal elections, a bill must be proposed to ban the smoking of cigarettes in public places throughout the United States. This would override each state's decision on the subject. The goal would be to make it unlawful to smoke cigarettes in any public places throughout the United States, and if caught a number of times, an individual can serve time in jail. Cigarette smoking is detrimental to the health of human beings, so people should not be allowed to smoke cigarettes in public places because secondhand smoke affects people's health in a negative way. The next time you go out to a restaurant or a bar in an urban place, notice how there are now mostly just designated places for people to smoke cigarettes. Smart people who don't smoke typically dodge these places and avoid them at all costs. Now imagine what it would be like to not have to worry about running into any of these places altogether. This would be the reality of this country if all you were to do would be to vote and support a bill that would make harmful tobacco smoking illegal in public places throughout the United States. And what a break that would be for all the people in this nation who don't deserve to be exposed to secondhand smoke.